Hello all and welcome back. In the last video we learned about the if then else statement. In this video we will learn about something which is called a select case statement, which is an alternative to the if then else statement. I personally prefer the select case statement when multiple conditions are involved, and that is because there is lesser typing and it is much more easier to manage the select case statement. So let's start off with understanding the syntax of the select case statement. The select case statement syntax is as follows. Here the test expression is the value to evaluate. You can use a variable or a cell value or even Boolean comparisons. We will cover that later in the video. The condition 1, condition 2, etc. is the condition to test, and statement or statements is the code to run if a condition is met, just like we did in the if then else statement video. If you have not seen that video and are not familiar how the statement works, then I highly recommend watching the video if then else statement in Microsoft Excel 365 for Windows. To understand this better, let's take an if then else example from the previous video and then modify it to select case. Let's launch the Visual Basic editor. If you're not aware what Visual Basic editor is or how to launch it, I would recommend watching the video Visual Basic editor and introduction. I'm going to press Alt F11 shortcut key to launch the Visual Basic editor. Once the Visual Basic editor is activated, right-click on the VBA project and under Insert, click on Module to insert a module. Here I'm going to insert a procedure called sub-sample. This is the same code that we used in the if then else example. Let me quickly type it. And we are done. This is the same code that we used in the if then else statement. Here, when we run the code, depending on what the percentage was calculated as, the relevant condition is met and then the subsequent statement is run, which is showing a message box. Now let's run this procedure. To run this, click on the Run Sub User Form button. Alternatively, you can also press the shortcut key F5. When you run this, you get the message the percentage is 20% and it is less than 40%. That happened because this condition was met and hence this statement was executed, which is showing the message box the percentage is 20% and it is less than 40%. Now, if we look at the select case syntax, here the percentage is the test expression. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to modify this code to introduce the select case statement. My select case statement starts with select case and then percentage. I'm going to convert if percentage is equal to 40, then this statement can be written as case equal to 40. See what happens when you press the enter key. Excel changes it to case is. You can either keep that or you can simply remove is equal to and let it be case 40. See how this involves slightly less typing? And now I'm going to delete this line and I'll keep the message box as it is. The next is percentage less than 40. Now if you type case less than 40, see what happens. Excel changes it to case is less than 40. You cannot leave it at less than 40 like we did in case 40, because if you try to, Excel will insert case is. So we leave this as it is and I'm going to delete the else if part. I'll leave the message box as it is and I'm going to copy this and I'm going to replace it with this statement. I'm going to change it to cases greater than 40. Message box remains unchanged and instead of end if I have end select. So I have converted my code from if then else statement to select case. So if you notice, there is lesser typing and it's compact as compared to the if then else statement. Now let's run this code and see if we get the same result as what we did in if then example. I should be seeing this message box again. So when I run this, I do see the message which is the percentage is 20% and it is less than 40%. Now moving on to the next part. Here what we did was a direct comparison. We can also do multiple direct comparisons. Let's take an example. I'm going to change this value to 25. And instead of case 40, I'm going to type 20, 40, 60. Similarly, I change this to 80, 90 and 100. And I change this to case else. Now let's quickly modify a message box, and it is either 20%, 40% or 60%. Similarly, I'm going to copy this message and I'm going to paste it down, and I'll change this to 80, 90 and 100. 90 and 100. And in the case else message box, I will say percentage is percentage and it doesn't satisfy any of the above conditions. And we are done. Now let's run this code. And I get the percentage is 25% and it doesn't satisfy any of the above conditions, because what I'm doing here is multiple direct comparison. Is 25 equal to 20? No, neither it is equal to 40 or 60. Similarly, 25 is not equal to 80, 90 and 100. So none of the conditions were satisfied and hence the case else message box was shown. If I change this to, let's say, 80, then see what happens. My second condition is satisfied and I'm showed the second message box, which is this one. You can also check if a particular number is within a range. For example, if you want to check if the percentage is between 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75 or 75 to 100. In that case, you can modify the code to case 0 to 25. And the message becomes it is between 0% and 25%. My second condition becomes 25 to 50. And I'm going to copy this message from here and I'm going to paste it here, change this to 25 to 50. I'm going to copy this entire thing and I'll paste it again and again. And I'll change this to 50 to 75. And this 75 to 100. And I will delete the case else part. In this code, the from and to numbers are included while testing the condition. For example, if the numerator is 25, then the first condition will be true and not the second. So if I run this, see what I get. The percentage is 25 and it is between 0 and 25%. Okay, a quick question. If I change the value of the numerator to 25.1, then which of the condition will be satisfied? Will it be 0 to 25 or will it be 25 to 50? Take a guess. If you guessed 0 to 25, then you are damn right. Let's run it and check it. I change this to 25.1 and if I run this, I get percentage is 25% and it is between 0 and 25%. Now let's change the value of the numerator to 25.6. In such a scenario, which condition do you think will be satisfied? Will it be 0 to 25 or 25 to 50? it will be 25 to 50. Because what VBA does is it rounds down or rounds up based upon the condition. So you have to be very careful when you are selecting a range. I'm going to change this to 25.6. Now when I run this, I get percentage is 26% and it is between 25 and 50%. One important thing that I would like to mention is the rounding off happened because we have declared numerator as long. In case we had declared it as double, then the rounding off wouldn't have happened. In that scenario, if I had 25.1, then my second message box would have shown, because 25.1 is between 25 and 50. So if I run this, see how I get the percentage is 25.1% and not 25%, because I have declared the variable as a double so that it can hold the decimal values, and obviously it is now greater than 25% and less than 50%. Now I will share a different way you can use the select case statement. I personally call it the reverse select case. So what I'll do is I've answered a question in Stack Overflow where what happens is I've used it in a user defined function. In the test expression, you mention a Boolean value, a true or a false. And then you check which of the following statements, the first statement or the second statement or the third, which expression evaluates to that Boolean expression. So let me quickly copy that code from Stack Overflow and then I'll paste it here and then we'll work on that. Before that, let me insert a new module. Now I will go back to that Stack Overflow post and I'm going to copy the code and I will paste it here. Here what I'm doing is I'm checking which condition evaluates to true first and then returning a value. So if the cell is blank, it will return blank. If the cell has text, it will return text. If you remember in the if then else statement video, I explained how the positioning of the if else if does not matter till the time you are trying to achieve a specific task. The same applies for the select case statement. For example, Excel stores dates as numbers. So case is date should not be after case is numeric, because if it is, then you will get value for a particular date. So let's test this. What I'm going to do is sub test and then I'm going to say message box cell type range A1 from the active sheet, which is sheet 1. So if I go back to sheet 1, range A1 is empty. So let's see what I get this when I run this. And I get blank because the cell is blank, is empty, C. So if there is some text, if I put, let's say, hello, and if I go back to the code and if I run this time I get text, which is the second one. And hence it is important how you place your case statements. Now moving on. Like the if then else statement, you can also add multiple conditions using operator or and operator and. Let's insert a new module and take few examples to understand them better. So I'm going to insert a new module and then I will work with the first operator, which is or. Let's say we want to check if a day is a particular weekday and then execute a statement. Select case gives us the flexibility to either use or comma in place of or, which does the same thing. But it depends on how you write the statement. Let us see how can we use both. Let's quickly write a small piece of code. I'll call it sub select case or example. I'll declare a variable dim dy as string and then I will assign Sunday to this variable. I'm going to write my select case statement. Select case dy, enter case Sunday, Tuesday and Friday. And let's show a message box. Message box. Today we will serve vegan food. And then let's have a case else. And here we will say we will not serve vegan food. And then we will close the select case by typing end select. So this is one way using comma. This is similar to what we did earlier where we had select case, percentage case 20, 40, 60 and 80, 90, 100. It's the same thing. So when I run this, I get the message, today we will serve vegan food because DY is Sunday. Now let's try and use the OR statement by modifying this code. So my code now becomes case DY is equal to Sunday or DY is equal to Tuesday or DY is equal to Friday. So this is how multiple comparison is done using OR. Again, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. In this particular case, it is much easier to use a comma instead of using an OR statement. Just like we used OR, we can also use the AND statement. Select case gives us the flexibility to use AND or use TO, which does the same thing. We already saw the 2 example earlier when we were checking if a number is in range or not. We had this code here in module 1, if you remember, case 0 to 25, similarly 25 to 50 and so on. Here it is the same as saying if a number is greater than 0 and a number is less than 25. The same code can be written using AND like we did for OR. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this code and I'm going to module 3 and I'm going to paste it here. And let's modify this code. So I will change this to true and we will change this to percentage is greater than equal to 0 and percentage is less than equal to 25. Similarly, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here and I will make this 25 and 50. I'm going to delete the rest because I just want to test these two. Now, if I run this, see what happens. I get the percentage is 25.1% and it is between 25% and 50%. In this example, I not only showed you how to do comparison using AND, but I'm also demonstrating how to use the reverse select case as I had mentioned earlier. So I've mentioned a Boolean value here and then I'm evaluating this expression and checking whether it is equal to true. Similarly, I'm evaluating this expression and I'm checking whether it is equal to true. Like in the OR example, in this particular case as well, it is much easier to use TO instead of AND. The AND statement is useful when you're comparing, say, 2 different variables. Let's say you want to check if it is Wednesday and the time of day is morning or afternoon and then execute a particular statement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this and I will declare a variable as dim day number as long and dim time of day as string, dim message as string. I'm going to assign day number as 3 because today is Wednesday, and let's assign morning to time of day. And I'm going to display a message based upon the current day of the week. So I will say it is a beautiful ampersand weekday name, weekday date, comma VB Monday. Now don't get too much into weekday name and weekday. This is a function that I'm using just to demonstrate an example. We will cover all these functions in the future video. And now let's write a select case statement. So I say select case. I'm going to copy this from here and I will paste it here. Next I will say case is equal to day number and time of day equal to morning. And if this condition is true, I want to show message box, message ampersand morning. I'll copy this and I'll paste it again and I'll change this to afternoon. I'll copy the same thing and I'll paste it here. Let's introduce a case else. My message box will be condition not met and end select. As I mentioned earlier, I selected 3 today because weekday name will give me Wednesday because today is Wednesday. So when I run this, it says it's a beautiful Wednesday morning. And if I change this morning to afternoon, then I will get it's a beautiful Wednesday afternoon because the time of day has been set accordingly. And if I change this to 4 and if I run this, I get condition not met because 4 is for Thursday and today is not Thursday. Time for a quick recap. In this video, we saw an alternative to the if then else statement, which is the select case statement. I personally prefer the select case statement, as I mentioned earlier, when multiple conditions are involved. And that is because it's much more easier to handle. There's lesser typing. Yeah, so totally up to you whether you want to still use the if then else statement or use the select case. It's a personal choice really. We also learned how to use multiple conditions using comma, which is an or, and to, which is an equivalent of and. If you still have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below, or you can also email me on support@tamexcel.com and I will reply to you within 48 hours. Just a quick reminder, I will be posting 2 videos every week, one on Monday and the other on Thursday. If you really like the way I explain things and if you think that I can support in your quest to learn Visual Basic Programming from scratch, then go ahead and extend your support by watching a couple of videos, dropping few likes, and if you still have not subscribed to this channel, then go ahead and subscribe it by clicking on the bell icon. And I will see you on Monday when I talk to you about arrays.